Hi YouTubers, my name is Snake, and this is my review of Smallville, episode 22, season 8, Doomsday. And this is mainly for a friend of mine who's been, reviewing Smallville for about, for a while now. His name is Noel. I suggest you find this Noel dude. By the way, Noel, great show. I love your reviews on Smallville. It definitely gives me a little bit more insight on the show as well as your perspective of it, and that allows me to, think more deeply about the show. I love it. But here's this is a review and question show for now. Sorry for no webcam, but I hope you're all enjoying these Smallville pictures, such as this Lois picture. Very hot, Eric Endurance. Very, very, very hot. But moving on to the summary of Season 8, Episode 22, Doomsday. Okay. The one thing that I have to, it's first of all, there's nothing really to hate about the show. Okay, there's nothing. Okay, I've loved the show right from the get-go, and sorry, but anyways, I have to nitpick at one thing, at one little thing. First of all, if you're all fans of Superman and Clark Kent and Smallville and whatnot. You all have heard of Doomsday, the only thing that ever killed Superman completely. Okay? Well, here's the thing that I'm kind of curious about is, first of all, I love the fact that in Smallville, Doomsday is not a CGI creature. When they first brought up Doomsday in Season 8, and I don't know, in the very first season, that really, that really took my breath away. That the fact that when you think of costumes like that, you think of Ninja Turtles. Jim Henson doing that. Dark Water. Gosh, I can't remember the stupid name. But I'm sorry. Anyways, moving on. The one thing that I have to nitpick is that Doomsday isn't really as big as he should be. That is the only thing I got to nitpick about. I love the costume. I really do. It could have been bigger, though. It could have been a little bit more buff, a little bit more spikes. Now, the one thing that I caught that actually even intimidated me, even though this creature isn't as big as I thought it would be or hoped it would be, the one thing that really, kind of freaked me out a little bit was the fact that he was, if you watch the show of Smallville, the Doomsday episode, Doomsday, after he was split from Davis from Black Kryptonite because Chloe had done it, was this. He was drooling, snarling, like that. There was actual drool. I don't know if that was black blood or whatever, but it was just coming out of his mouth. That was great. That definitely made me a little harder for me to actually step out in the dark alleyways of my town. Let me just say that much. But another thing that also, I actually had to watch. I recorded the show. I recorded that episode specifically, and I had to watch it twice for this one thing. And I had to watch, as I said, I had to watch this one scene twice. Henry James Olsen. I was like, and honestly, I'm just gonna say one thing. I'm not surprised because the Jimmy that we all know and love, when he's actually in Metropolis with Clark Kent with the glasses, when Clark's actually embraced his destiny. The Jimmy that we know is 18 years old, somewhere around there. I want to say 18 maybe, younger than Clark, because Clark's 30 in that timeline. He's 30, so Jimmy's got to be 18 or so. Well, here's the thing: when I caught that, and then you see that little boy, he was crying, and then when Chloe gave this little boy the camera, saying, "Who knows? Maybe you'll follow in your brother's footsteps someday." I was like, that is Jimmy Olsen. That is him. I honestly kind of had a hunch that Aaron Ashmore was not playing the Jimmy that we all knew. I still got time on this thing. That's surprising. No, I'm doing the Windows Movie Maker, blah, 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 with these Smallville pictures, such as this picture, right, I don't know, here of Eric Endurance, Lois Lane. Nice. They're really, and after the episode, me and my girlfriend, I got my girlfriend sucked into the show prior to season 7. I got her sucked into it somewhere around that time. And, and she's always asked me questions and so on and so forth. Now, she loves Smallville, and I'm going to say one thing, Noel. I, too, was very, very, very surprised at the fact that Davis killed Jimmy Olsen. That was one thing I was not expecting. I was expecting Chloe, you know. And after that happened, I had actually cried because that was, the Jimmy that Aaron had played, that was the one that we were used to at that, during that time. And the shocker of it not being the Jimmy that we all know and love from Superman, that really surprised me, but also feel more sad towards Henry Olsen. Another thing as well that kind of, I don't know, I mean, it was slightly disappointing, but it was actually pretty good for a good 5-minute battle. Clark versus Doomsday. I loved it, I've seen that little girl, that Clark had saved. I saw preview photos of that girl with Doomsday and so on and so forth. Just, really, really cute stuff. But, as I said, the battle was short-lived. Okay? Now, 3 things happened that really, made me question what the heck's going to happen now. Number 1 was, well, I'm pretty much saying what you're saying, Noel, and I'm sorry if I am. If you have any problems with it, sue me. I'm not joking, Just tell me to shut the hell up. But moving on. Lois took the ring. And if I recall, I believe, I know she's definitely going to the future, because if you rewatch that episode on YouTube, or if you had it recorded, rewatch it. And you'll notice that Rock had told Clark that it was programmed for the future, so that, the Legion can take care of Doomsday. So it's already been said it's in the future. Secondly, there was one thing that kind of bothered me. When Clark had grabbed Doomsday and tossed him down there, I don't know, maybe you can tell me this. Did Clark throw Doomsday down to where Oliver and Green Arrow, Impulse, and Black Canary had him held, under that plant? And, the one thing that kind of made me that made me a little questionable was that, when he said Clark Kent is dead. He didn't call himself Kal-El, but here's the thing. Black kryptonite, for all we know, I'm just throwing hunches out there. I don't know what's going on, but for all I know, that's not the Clark we know. That is Kal-El. That's my personal opinion. If I'm wrong, let me know. Or if you have your own theory, you tell me, and I'd like to hear it. Here's the question, mainly for Noel, is if you remember in episode 1, specifically, Clark is invulnerable. Okay, episode 1, pilot episode, Clark's invulnerable, mainly because, that one scene where he, sticks his hand in that mulcher after he's mad because he can't keep the truck, pulls his hand out, and he's completely fine. Then, I think a couple episodes later, or season 2, I think, Clark meets this guy who is able to manipulate people by shaking their hand. Okay? If you remember, the guy, the evil one who had the same ability, manipulated Lex into shooting Clark. Clark had bruises. Remember, in episode 1, he's invulnerable. He sticks his hand in that mulcher. Yeah, that's what kind of made me a little questionable. But anyways, I'm sorry I had to make this short, everyone. I hope you all have a good summer this year. You all take care, and I hope you all start to watch Smallville Season 9 starting on January 15th.